This
Good
conference will
evening,
now
everybody.
be recorded.
I'm assuming that you can all see me and hear me.
Wouldn't hang them yet.
Okay. Well, I can see me and hear me. I'm hoping you folks can see me. I didn't hear anybody respond.
Yes, I
Hi,
can.
Sandy. It's Mel. Oh, I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. I think we ran into that issue the last time we met, so I'm not going to be too concerned about it. I actually turn my camera off when I'm teaching so that I don't have to be looking at myself. So I'm not going to notice it. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were able to see it. Now, um, Melinda, I think it was you who said that you weren't able to see me. Whoever it was, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, and yes, it was Mel. Sorry. Yes.
Okay, good. Because it's more important that you see the PowerPoint than that you see me. Okay, folks, it's great to have everybody back again. We're going to have a great time tonight. We're going to be talking about discovering yourself through Kabbala, and this is a absolutely amazing journey. And whether you have studied Kabbalah before in books, whether you've taken my classes, whether you plan on taking any Kabbalah class in the future, this class really is a standalone class. It will enhance anything you've done elsewhere with the Kabbalah. It's going to give you a new perspective on it. It's very, very personal, and I think you're going to absolutely love it. So, welcome everyone. I'm glad to see you here. And don't hesitate if you have a question to type it into the chat. I'm going to just run with it for a few minutes, and I will take moments here and there to answer questions and also to give you some little exercises to do. So, we're going to have little breaks here and there. I'm not sure how long this class is going to go, but if it's too long, I'll try to give you a little tiny break in the middle so that your brains don't get fried. Now that I said that, this is not really a use your brain class, a little bit, but not a lot. Mostly it's an intuitive class. How does this make you feel? And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. Okay, on to the next slide. This is really a self recognition workshop that's guided by the Kabbalah. Okay, so we're going to truly use the Kabbalah as a roadmap for higher consciousness, which I believe is what it was truly originally designed for anyway. You'll see I wrote here, this is a affirmation that you can use, copy, say to yourself, I am a living tree of life, and each step I take roots me deeper into who I truly am. So this is really, I think, one of the most important affirmations that you can say to yourself. And it certainly starts to get you in touch with the tree of light as a component. The tree of life is the tree of light, and it's a component of who you truly are. So say it to yourself, say it with me. I am a living tree of light. Each step I take roots deeper into who I truly am. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing tonight. And you're going to take home a lot of toys that we can work with during the time until our next class comes up. You're going to love it. Now, always when we get into any deep internal work where we're really going to be asking for help from our guides and our angels and the higher powers around us, we want to be protected first. So I'm going to lead us in this, and if you would join me, I would truly appreciate it. Now I'm going to be facing the screen the whole time so you can see me, but imagine that I'm starting out in the east, and I'll tell you when I'm making a quarter turn to the right, which takes me into the four other directions, okay? So start out facing the east. Do this with me, please. Place your first two fingers on your forehead, and we're going to sing out or vibrate Ato. Ato. Take a moment to see how you feel what comes to you from the east. Now place your fingers on your sternum and vibrate Malkus, still facing the east. Malkus. Again, still facing the east. Place your fingers on your right shoulder and vibrate Vigevora. Vigevora. Place those same two fingers on your left shoulder and vibrate Vigedula. Vigedula. Put your arms over your chest and vibrate Leolam Amen. Leolam Amen. Now extend your right hand out towards the east and in the air draw an invoking pentagram. That means you're going to start where I have it drawn on this next slide right next to the writing. You're going to start in that upper part of the star and come down to either foot, right or left, doesn't matter, but complete your star all in one flow. Okay, so extending your hand towards the east, in the air, draw an invoking pentagram. Yad He Vav He. Now you'll take a quarter turn to your right. So now you're facing south. So imagine I just turned a quarter to the right, facing south, and vibrate Ihaya. Ihaya. Draw your invoking pentagram again. Now make another quarter turn still to your right, so you're now facing west, the opposite from where you started. Sing out and vibrate. Sing out and vibrate with me, Adonai. Adonai. And now make another quarter turn to your right, so now you're facing north. Sing out and vibrate, Agla. Agla. You're still drawing your pentagram in the air as you sing that. Now complete your circle by making another quarter turn to your right again, so you're facing east where you started, and in silence, trace that pentagram again. Now extend both arms out to your sides, palm up, and vibrate or chant, before me Raphael, behind me Gabriel, on my right hand Michael, on my left hand Uriel. For about me flames the pentagram, and within me shines the six-rayed star. And then we're going to repeat steps 1 through 5, placing your first two fingers on your forehead, Otto, Otto, sternum, Malkus, Malkus, right shoulder, Vigevora, Vigevora, left shoulder, Vigedula, Vigedula, crossing your arms over your chest, Leolam Amen, Leolam Amen. Now take a deep breath, ground and center. Take a moment to feel the air around you. Feel how your body feels. Remember what you felt as you were going through calling each station. Doing that helps you to become more familiar with the whole concept of vibration that we will be touching on in a future class, and also lets you become familiar with how these protections feel. So you actually know how it feels to have that protection around you, and that gets you used to it. That gets you able to be more successful in creating that protection and being aware of how positively it's around you each time you do it. A couple of comments here. Many of you have been doing this for a long time, but not everybody knows that each one of these names, Otto, Malkus, Vigevora, Vigedula, they are all directly out of the Kabbala. Okay, I'll point them out as we go through the Kabbala stations later on so you can see what I'm talking about. So now you know that the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram was either taken from the Kabbala, or the Kabbala points, the stations, were based upon this very, very ancient protection, which goes back many thousands of years. So just an interesting little, by the way, the arms crossing across the chest is called the Osiris position out of Egypt. The arms out to the side with the palm up is called the Isis position with wings. Okay, so you get a feeling for the history that goes with this protection as you recognize where these words now come from. Okay, let's consider ourselves well protected. And again, remember, anytime you're going to do deep inner work, or come to a class like this where you're learning about it, always do your protection. And this is probably the most powerful one you can do. So it's a good one. Okay, moving on. Okay, I have an invocation I want to start this class with. And here it is. We're going to do a little meditation. We're going to do an invocation. So start with the affirmation. Once again, say to yourself, I am a living tree of light. And think about that for a moment. How does it feel? I am a living tree of light. Each step I take roots deeper into who I truly am. Think about that. How does that make you feel? Now let's do our invocation. I invoke the spirit of the tree of life. Repeat that after me. I invoke the spirit of the tree of life. I ask for the help and the protection of all of the angels, the archangels, guides, and aspects of God that I shall meet within myself as I fully discover myself on my journey towards higher consciousness. May the portal open now. Now close your eyes. Take 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths to ground and center yourself. And focus. Focus on your affirmation. I'm a living tree of light. Each step I take roots deeper into who I truly am. Take another deep breath. I invoke the spirit of the tree of life. I ask for the help and the protection of all of the angels, archangels, guides, and aspects of God that I meet within myself as I fully discover myself on my journey into higher consciousness. Say it with me. May the portal open now. May the portal open now. Take a deep breath in and expand it out as far around you as you can. Open your eyes and pull out your journal. Everybody should have brought a journal or something to write on, or a tablet if you write on your tablet. Just take a moment. Jot down. How do you feel right now? What came to you when you said your affirmation, I'm a living tree of light? How did you feel when you invoked the spirit of the tree of life and the protection of all the angels? And how did it feel when you asked for the portal to open? Write it down. Now let's take a look at this. Many, many times you're going to see the tree of life, which is another name for the Kabbala, actually drawn out like a tree. What I've done here is actually to duplicate a vision that I got many, many years ago from my guides. And here we are. That's mankind. Okay. The animal mind, but a very intelligent animal mind, making our choices, working our way up the tree. Notice on this tree of life that we have constant choices and decisions to make. Every time there's another juncture. Notice that every time there's another juncture, there's weather around us. There are currents pulling one way or another. There's tension, there's energy. Our evolution is really based upon our freedom of choice. We always have that freedom. Always, always, always remember that. That's important. I wanted you to be able to see this diagram, which is the tree of life as a mirror of self. And notice, here's your tree. And if you look at the diagram on the left, I show you a sitting person. And the circles are called sephiro or sephira. Sometimes you'll see them spelled that way. I use the sephiro. It's just the way I learned. Each one of those circles corresponds to the diagram you see on the right. This diagram on the right is the more traditional tree of life. This is what you usually see in all the books. There will be 10 of these big circles, which I wrote the tarot meanings on them since we did tarot in our last class. So now you can see a direct correspondence between the tarot, which you've played with a bit, and the stations on the tree. All of the lines that join the circles, or sephiro, are called paths. Now, for example, right here, I'm looking at the path that's on the lower right side. You see where my cursor is. And you'll see that it's ruled by the moon. That's the card, the tarot card. So this is the tarot card, the moon, just as the path that goes straight up from the 10s to the 9s is the world. So you have the written tarot card here. So you can play with that. Okay, that's a fun little toy to work with when you do your work with your tarot portals and your tarot work that we did last time we met. Now, each one of these paths also has a name. For example, this one on the right is called Koph, C-O-P-H. That doesn't mean moon. It has a different meaning. It's a Hebrew name. It's a Hebrew word. I believe it means something with a head. Okay? Each one of these Hebrew words is part of a lost language. No one in today's world truly knows how to pronounce Hebrew. So, folks, please don't get upset if you worry about if you're pronouncing the protections perfectly well, or if you're pronouncing one of the names, the Hebrew names of these paths properly. Nobody truly knows how to pronounce them. Hebrew is I'm going to say a true language. It's a living language in its written form. There are only two languages where the thing is the word. That's important. So if I truly knew how to spell Koph, when I said that word, not just spell it, I can read it, right? But I can't truly pronounce it the way it's meant to be pronounced. But if I could pronounce it the proper way, when I said the word, I would feel a tingling in my head because it would be a direct identification with the thing that it described. The only other original, perfect, true language on the planet is Sanskrit. And Sanskrit is still spoken. It's written and spoken. The other original language was Hebrew, and it's a lost language. When the current state of Israel was formed, they had to go into the deserts. They listened to the tribes in the area, and they said, well, these words are similar, so we'll pronounce them this way. Nobody knows if that was true or not. So please don't get excited. You pronounce them in whatever way it comes to you, and you will do fine. Your guides and your angels know what you're saying, okay? And that's all that really counts. Now, what I want to show you is if we look at where it says tens pages, that particular sephiro, that circle at the bottom of the tree, correlates to the 10, the circle, at the bottom of this person's body. That would be right on top of the base of the spine chakra, the root center, okay? So there is a direct correlation between your physical body and the tree of life. This is the point I want to make in this diagram. This is why the tree of life works incredibly well as a mirror of ourselves. That's why we can do exercises. We can travel paths, as we do in my Kabbala pathworking class. We can do exercises that we'll do in this class to stimulate the energies of the physical body through stimulating the energies of the paths and of the sephiro. Remember, paths are the lines, sephiro are the circles. Okay? Understanding what the tarot card means and how it feels to work with that card, to slip through a portal to look at that card, is going to help you to understand how this path will affect you. And it will correlate to that path, ties the tens to the sevens. So we don't see it here on the diagram. It's only showing you the what we call the lightning flash, the spiral of energy moving upwards. But there is a path, obviously, that goes from 10 to 7, just like over here on the diagram. And so if I'm working with the tarot card, the moon, if it is a full moon and I'm outside feeling the energies of the moon, and I decide to sit in meditation and focus on the moon, I'm going to be stimulating the energies that come through my root center, which corresponds to your gonads, that's a ductless gland, and my solar plexus center, which corresponds to the adrenals. And I'm going to be working on this part of my body because the tree is me, the left side. Remember, this tree, if we're looking at it, it's the mirror, the right side as I look at it. But if it is me, as in the diagram on the left, I become the tree. So it's interesting. Be aware. When are you the mirror? Because then it's opposite. When is it within you? Then it's the same. Okay? So right here, this is a very powerful thing to understand. Here's our tree of life. It has roots deep, deep, deep into the earth. It has roots deep into our soul, into ourselves. Everyone in this class has probably been on their journey for many thousands of years through many incarnations. And all of what you have experienced is contained in your tree. And your tree is your physical body. And it correlates to this tree of life that correlates to so many things. The reason I put the tarot cards here is because we did it last time we met. So now you know where the cards fit on the tree of life. Something very special to be able to work with. Okay, I feel that there may be a question. Does anybody have a question or a comment they want to ask about what I've just talked about, or about our invocation, or any of the other things I've mentioned so far? Okay, let's move on. I'm going to go back and look at something we did last time we met with a little twist, okay? Yes, Ginger says in the chat, she says, this is the Hebrew alphabet. Yes, Yes, exactly. And we have, remembering from last time we met, we talked about your life path in numerology being the single most important of all of the numbers you will ever have because it's where your soul journey begins. And I showed you how to find your life path, and we worked with that with the tarot cards. Well, we're going to repeat that again, but as I said, with a twist. Your life journey begins with your birthday. So we're going to find your life path again. Please bear with me. If you've been, some of you are new tonight and you're doing this class for the first time. So for you, just follow along. Those of you who did this with me a month ago, it's a little different. So be sure to listen. So to find your life path, which is to find your soul's primary Sephiroth and path, first reduce your birth year to a single digit by adding all four numbers together, and then add them together again, and then again, and so on, until finally only two digits remain, and then finally one digit will be left. So example, 1998 becomes 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 8, equaling 27, and then 2 plus 7 is 9. Okay, so we're going to have two numbers out of this, the 27 and the 9, which would have been the year this fictional person was born. Why do I use both numbers on the tree? Let's go back and take a look at the previous slide for a moment. Okay, I'm going to take us to the next slide for a moment. Sorry about this. I have a slide here that has the numbers on it. I really do. I just have it out of order. We're just going to worry about it when we get to it. The thing that's important is that there are 32 paths, including the 10 Sephiroth. And so we can use the 27 and we can use the 9. We can use both numbers. So all the numbers that are double digits and all the numbers that are single digits are going to be important to you. They're going to tell you something important about you. Now next, reduce your birth month to a single digit, and we're going to do the same thing. If it's already a single digit, you just leave it. If it's two digits, you're going to use the two digits and also reduce it to the one digit, and you're going to use them both. Then reduce your birthday to a single digit. And again, whatever the day is, if it's a double digit, you're going to keep the double digit, and you're also going to reduce it. So you're going to use both. And then finally, this is where you're going to find the life path itself. You add the single digit, the day, the month, and the year, the single digits together. You're going to take the result of that, reduce it first to two digits. You're going to use that number, and finally to one digit. And that's your life path. So in this example that we're using here, this person would have a life path of 14 and also 5. So we would be looking at the 14th path as being important for them, and also the Sephiroth 5, the fifth Sephiroth. Okay, and I am going to go to the next one because here are those numbers. I knew I had the slide here. And so we're going to see the person we just talked about. This will be their primary life path, 14, which happens to tie together the Sephiroth on either side, which I don't have the numbers in, but they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And in a lower slide, I have that written out for you, so you'll see it. Okay? So if you didn't get it, don't worry. In this case, that life path joins both sides of the tree. That's an important life path. It's a major initiation for this person. Every one of the paths is called a minor initiation. The paths that cross the tree are called major initiations. Literally, they're things that we must cross. They're like obstacles in our path. They're intense challenges. They're not just paths. And their life path is also a 5. So we would look at the 5th Sephira, which is this one right here. It's the Sephira, which, if we look over here where it is numbered, says Givora. And this slide gives us some information about all of this. It tells us that Givora is the name of this Sephira. The color is red. The planet is Mars. The sign that would correspond is Aries. And the other sign that would correspond is Scorpio. Both of those signs, by the way, are Mars ruled in astrology. We'll learn about that next time we meet. Okay, so looking at that 14th path, we know it's a Venus path. It's a very earthy oriented path. And we can see it joins the male on the right side of the tree and the female on the left side of the tree energies. So it's a very powerful path that must be perfectly balanced in order to move on, to move forward. Now, as I talk about these things, think to yourself, how is this making you feel? Let's go back to this example here. Well, this written description of how to find your life path. Can I have a volunteer from the group? I would like to work with your life path, both the double digit and the single digit. Anyone? Shannon is a 17/8. So Shannon, we're going to work with yours. Okay, let's go and take a look at this. Okay. The 17th path, let's look for the number 17, takes us here, which if we look at the correlating positions from Tiferet up to Bina, okay, so that's path 17. We can look at this path and know that it's orange. These colors are accurate. It's an orange path. We also can tell that this path takes us from the center of the tree, where there's this sense of complete and total balance, off towards the feminine principle. Again, if you're looking at the tree, this is the left side. But if you are the tree, you go back and look at this diagram. This person is the tree. The tree is literally, they are this tree. You are this tree. So if you are the tree, Shannon, this would be your right side, would be feminine. If you're looking at it from outside of self, it's on the left side. But in studying the Kabbala, it's your right side because you are the tree. And we have correspondences. Venus black, Saturn ruled, Aquarius, Capricorn are the signs associated with it. Tiferet is connecting to the sun in Leo. It's very masculine. It's got this center totally balanced within the self. It doesn't matter if you're looking at it from outside self or if you are within feeling it. It's still central to everything. So in your life path, you're coming from a central position, from a balanced position in the center of this tree, and you're moving off in a completely feminine direction into a Sephiro, which is very restrictive, which is motherly, which is nurturing, protective, but also tends to be over controlling. Think about the great mother, that energy. Now, your 17 reduces to an 8. The number 8, the 8th path, is in a path. It's a Sephiro. So we go from the 17th path, where you're learning to balance the feminine energies, probably brought in a lot of excess masculine energy there, balancing the feminine energies. And now we are reducing it to a single digit in the Sephiro Had. Colors orange, planets Mercury, signs of Virgo and Gemini, This is a very, again, it's on the right side. It's on the female side of the tree. But the tree of life does an interesting thing. Just below Tiferet, as the energy comes into matter, it does. I'm going to go back and look at the slide before. This is a spiral, you see, as the energy is coming down into matter. Just below Tiferet, it does a switch. So this eighth Sephiro, still on the feminine side of the tree, tends to behave as if it's on the masculine side of the tree. Just kind of interesting. Just a little bit of information there. And your eighth Sephiro, your life path of 8, is going to be very mental. It's going to be very energetically research oriented. It's going to be very concerned with communication. It's going to be very concerned, again, with the concept of balancing out intellectually all of the energies around it, making sense out of everything, organizing everything, getting it perfectly arranged. Shannon, as I'm talking, and if you've been following my cursor, you would have been hearing my voice, you would have been seeing me as I'm pointing to these things, watching my cursor, and at the same time, you're also processing what's written in the Sephirot. You're processing that this is on the feminine left side of the tree, female Sephirot at the top, so it's on that side. And yet it has that masculine, very mental overtone to it. And you've been processing that Venus like the original Earth Mother. She's like Supermom in every way, shape, and form, both good and bad. Okay? And you're processing this material. You're processing how this feels. How does the color black associated with Venus? What does that bring to you? I know you haven't got the astrology. We haven't done that yet. But when you think about the word Saturn, you might not know anything about it, but when you think about the word Saturn, how does it make you feel? When you relate that Bina, Aquarius, and Capricorn, which is at the top of your Gemini path, and at the bottom of your Gemini path is Tiferet, centralized on the tree, yellow and sunny, and feels happy, it feels upbeat. Somehow yellow feels so happy and up, and Bina feels kind of heavy and dark. And the path is Gemini, and it's airy. That path, as soon as I say air, that path says I want to be free, doesn't it? That path feels like clouds floating in the sky. And on one side, it's anchored into light, and on the other side, it's anchored into responsibility, heaviness, and it reduces to Hod, sphere 8, your 8th life path, which, interestingly, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is one of the planets, or the planet, that rules Hod. Wow. Where's the time there? Maybe you can't intellectualize it, but you can feel it, can't you? You can feel it. Shannon, just close your eyes for a moment. Take 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths. Let yourself go. And when you bring your attention back, open your mic and tell us what you will be writing in your journal from that experience. You just did a directed meditation of your life path through the tree of life. You can do that on your own, folks. So, Shannon, what are you going to write in your journal?
Well, this was really interesting because I've done the Kabbala before, and this is so much different and deeper and cooler. So it was really interesting because I've struggled with my feminine side, I've struggled with my masculine side, and striking a balance between everything has been a theme lately. So this is really it's about balance and the masculine, the feminine, and centering that stuff. And one of my favorite colors is black. Orange, for I have struggled with my sacral chakra. I have issues there. So I mean it's all really interesting how all of the pieces fit different parts of my life. This was really cool.
And as it should. It's your life path. Now, your life path, folks, and thank you, Shannon. I really appreciate that feedback. Your life path, folks, is like an umbrella. It's it's the overview, the thing that holds the shape, that holds everything in your life beneath it. So everything that you are experiencing and everything that you're doing, every choice that you make, every path that you travel in your day-to-day life, every moment that you say, I want to try this thing because I want to elevate my consciousness, or I want to experience this kind of a relationship, whatever it is that you're choosing and doing, all of those things fall within the umbrella of your life path. So your life path is always there. It doesn't go away. It's not just part of your journey. It's literally the sky under which your journey unfolds. Okay? And it gives your journey shape and form. So in Shannon's case, her journey is going to be this constant effort to balance the masculine and feminine energies, this constant effort to find freedom when part of her wants to just live in the moment and be the perpetual child and love everyone and everything, and the other part of her wants to take on the responsibility for the whole world and hold it to her heart and die with it if she has to. And those two energies are antithetical to one another, but that's her life path. So her life path is going to be doing one, doing the other, finding the balance, doing one, doing the other, finding the balance. And always in her path, she's going to be thrown to, I don't have a diagram for this, but I want you to see this. The tree of life has three pillars. See where I'm drawing my cursor? That's the left pillar. We call that the pillar of severity. And then there's a right side pillar, looking at it, of course, that we call the pillar of mercy. You can see my cursor running over it. And then these four sephirot that go up the middle are called the middle pillar, and that's called the pillar of balance. Okay? So many of us have these issues where our life path crosses from one side of the tree to the other. And we will be having these male-female issues. Many of us have that. And so if you have that, where you can see your path, like path 14 in my earlier example, crosses the tree. There it is. That person would have that same issue, Shannon, maybe even more pronounced because it's all the way anchored into the other side of the tree. But many of these other paths anchor into Tiferet, and that still creates that imbalance, that constant, oh, I'm out of balance, got to get back in balance, that constant feeling of being torn into something maybe that's you haven't tested before, or maybe that makes you uncomfortable or a little bit fearful. And so you put a foot in the water and then you quick withdraw it because it felt uncomfortable. But maybe next time you can go a little bit deeper with it. Okay? Folks, these are the kinds of journeys that your work with the tree of life is going to take you on. And I wanted to give you an example immediately with someone. so that when you do this on your own, it's not enough to just research and say, oh, this Sephiro means blah. No. You have to look at that Sephiro Hod orange. How do I feel about orange? Planet Mercury. What do I know about Mercury? It rules Virgo and Gemini. Well, I'm a Virgo. Shannon's a Virgo. Let me close my eyes and take a few diaphragmatic breaths. Just sit with that for a minute. Not necessarily thinking about it, just sitting with it. Does that make you feel comfortable? Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Does it make you feel lighter? Did something inside, maybe you can't put words to it, but did something just go click? Wow, there's something here that's important? Because when you focus, Shannon, and you meditate, and you literally put yourself through the portal of Hod, your life path, and you allow yourself to travel wherever your heart and your mind take you, you're going to uncover some very, very amazing things, all of which should be written down in your journal. Now, this also gives me an opportunity to bring something else up that is going to be worth looking into for some of you. Okay, a few days ago, one of you contacted me on our Facebook group and said, Sandy, you said that when you developed these classes, you did work with AI. How do you prompt? How do you set this up? And so you're going to find what I told that student. You're going to find that on our Facebook group. A good reason to go and check it out. But I wanted to share that right here. It's not so much that you have a definitive, well, here's how you prompt, you use these words. My suggestion, and I think it would be a great idea, if like Lisa, you use Copilot, or I like to work with ChatGPT, my husband likes Grok, whatever AI you are working with. Okay, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do mine. You can do your own. But for example, in the situation we were just talking about with Shannon, if Shannon takes that information that she just received in her meditation on Hod and on her 17th path that begins in Tiferet and ends in Bina and focuses the energy on those three Sephiro because of that, okay? If she feeds that information into her AI friend, along with how she felt, and says, can you give me some insight into what those feelings in response to those impressions could mean? Just that simple. So you give the AI the parameters because you put the information in. You give the AI how you felt. AI can accept that. It understands those feelings. It does. And then you can say, what conclusions can you draw from this that might be helpful to me and give me some direction in how I could make this work for me? Ask a nice, simple, direct question, and you're going to get 5 or 6 pages of really interesting insight that's going to help you to take an even deeper dive into your life path. Now, folks, is there anybody here? I'm going to kind of look in the chat here and see what's going on because I don't want to leave people out if they're asking questions. Nope, don't see anybody else other than that Melinda was asking. She said if my birth year was 1974, that to 21 reduces to a 3. Then I add the 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, that would reduce to a 3. Melinda, I feel like I'm only getting part of this. Okay. What's the complete birthday? Your birth year, we have 1974. But what's your birthday and month? Okay. So 8 is already reduced, and 26, is it August 26th? It's interesting. 26 is another date. You know, those eights, Melinda, are going to be very important for you because you're seeing a double eight. 2 plus 6, the day is an 8. Okay, so you're going to want to look at that. So the 1974, we have 9, 10, 17 is 21 equals 3. And then we have an 8, and then we have another 8. So that's 16. That's 19. 9 plus 1 equals 10. 10 reduces to 1. So you would have three numbers here. You would be looking at your 19, your 10, and your 1. So for you, there would be two Sephiro. That would be very important. It would be the top Sephiro up here, which is Kether, the bottom Sephiro, which is Malkuth, and then the life path, which is 19. It's a connecting path, that male female energy again. So a lot of what I was saying to Shannon would have resonated with you as well. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Did you see how I did that, Melinda?
I did.
Okay, good. Good. You know, the life path is really so simple to figure out. But you know, once you have it, it's like, oh, that was easy. But until you have it, it can seem like it's awfully hard. Okay. So I'm glad that you asked. And it is. There are other numbers that you're going to find when we do the numerology section, which is in a couple of months from now. And there's astrology that's going to be important that you're going to be able to tie back into the Kabbala. One of the most brilliant things about Kabbala is every single tool that we have in our toolbox relates back to the Kabbala. So every single thing you ever learn, even if it's outside of metaphysics, even if it's something you're learning about religion or government, you can still relay it back to the Kabbala. So the Kabbala really is us. It is us, and through reflection, it's the world around us. And when we make changes in ourselves, when we do an exercise like I just helped Shannon to do here, that you're going to do on your own, that's one of your homeworks, folks, to take that same exercise and sit with it and meditate on it. When we do those exercises and we learn about ourselves, and it's like we throw switches, we move through portals. Each one of these Sephiro is a portal, each path is a portal. We move through these portals as we evolve. And as we change, the reflection of our world changes. And then we look at it and we say, do we like that? If we like it, we live with it for a while. If we don't, we make another change in ourselves and our world changes again. The world changes because we change. We can either be outside looking at the tree and feel as if circumstance controls us, or we can be the tree, in which case we control circumstance. Interesting, huh? And everything you ever learn anywhere, you will be able to relate back to the tree of life, and you will be able to meditate on it, move through a portal and a meditative state through the portal, to be able to gather information and insight that you need for your own next step. Okay? So Lisa says, I'm a 10-1. So the top and the bottom. I am the balance. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting since you're also a Libra. Yes. It's also interesting that you and Mel have the same, hers is reversed from you, but you both have that 10-1. If you're a 19, if you're a 10, if you're a 1, it's always going to reduce back to the 1 and the 10, both of these. Okay? And you can either choose, are you at the top or are you at the bottom? And there can be this extreme vacillation. Or you can do the balance and find yourself somewhere in the middle. And I think this center middle pillar is going to be very, very important for both of you. Okay. And you will probably, again, both of you, be able to do all kinds of meditative work, learning about why you balance things, why you're attracted to imbalance, that you have to balance. Interesting? It gets you to really learn about yourself. Why do you become involved in issues or with people or situations that are way out over here crazy? Why? What draws you to that? Are you bringing balance to that? Or are you seeing an imbalanced part of yourself manifested outside of yourself? Lots to think about. Now, again, moving on, okay, we've been on this slide for a bit, and I did want to ask one more question before I move on to the next slide. All of them are important in their own way. You're going to spend time on these on your own when you go back over and re-listen to this recording. Is it clear what you are looking at? I know Lisa sent you these handouts, but in case you didn't get the handouts, here they are, and you can take screenshots of them. The only one she didn't send you was this one. This, incidentally, is the back of my tarot deck. It's the back of the card, which is the lightning flash. So it shows you all the paths because we bring the energy completely down. Okay. So moving on to our next slide, I want to do an exercise with you. Take a moment, remembering what we just did with Shannon and what we were just looking at with those slides. Take out your journal, okay? Take your candle. I forgot to tell you about this. Take your candle and light it. Now, there's something about candles that really gets our psyche into that right feeling. So I asked you to bring a white candle with you. Light your white candle. Here's mine. And the candle can actually become a really nice focal point for your meditation, for your eyes to dwell on as you meditate. So this is a soul placement exercise because I want you to place yourself on the tree of life. I want you to have a starting point. So, in your journal, what have I found out about myself so far? I'm asking the question of your inner self. List 5 things. Not what have you found out about Shannon or Sandy or the tree of life. What have you found out about yourself so far? List 5 things. Take a moment to do that. And now, make a note from the life path that we just figured out for ourselves. What are your primary numbers? What's your primary double-digit number or numbers? Some of you have 2. What's your primary single-digit number? That'll be 1 Sephirah that you're working with. If you haven't figured it out yet, take a moment now to do that. Write it down. And next to that, write down, what do I know about them now? You don't have to know numerology for this. What does it tell you? What do you feel about it when you look at the tree of life? What do you feel? What do you know about your primary numbers now? Now, I know that this isn't our card night. That was last session, but in that session, what was the card that corresponded to your life path? And if you didn't do that session yet, just take out any card deck, and whatever your primary number reduces to, the single digit, pull one of those cards out. There will be 4 of them, one from each suit. And with the double digits, if your life path, the double digit was less than 21, pull the card number that corresponds to that out. If your life path was the double digit number was over 21, what we do is we start going around the cards a second time. So path 22 would be the equivalent of the Fool. Path 23, the Magician, and so forth. So pull your primary card out, or cards. And if you didn't do that and don't want to take the time right now, then just shuffle the deck and pull out any card at random. Look at that card and see its correspondence on the Tree of Life. Let me pull that up again for a moment so you can see it. There are the cards on the right side, or on the left side. Look at the card's placement on the Tree of Life. Look at that card relative to your life path. We have 3 ways of seeing it here. We have the numbers in the middle, right? We have the cards on the left. We have the ability to find the path that corresponds here on the right. So what do you know about your primary card now? What comes to you first? What's your biggest insight? What's your primary Sephiro? Back to here again. When you reduced your life path to a single digit, what was the number? Was it like Lisa and Mel, 1 or 10? Was it like Shannon, 8? Find the Sephiro, which is your life path. Your card should fit right in there too. When you look at that life path, when that Sephiro draws you in, you read the correspondences for it. What do you feel about it? How do you relate to it? Do you relate to it? What is your primary path? That would be your double digit number. Let's go back and look at that again. What's your primary path? Was it like Shannon where it was a 17? Mel, which was a 19, across here. See, across the center. Lisa, you didn't tell what your primary path was. When you look at the number of your path, the path itself, and you see where it is located on the tree, what do you feel from that? How do you respond to that? Again, put all these things into your journal. Now ask yourself, how does what you just looked at and what you just journaled, how does it match your current life focus? What's the biggest thing in your life right now? What's the thing you're most attached to, involved with, putting most of your time and energy into? How does that match with what you now know about your life path? And how does that feel? So, what is this point on the tree revealing about your life path, about your current challenges in your life? Does it show you any patterns that you may be dealing with? Okay, Veronica is in the chat. She says, my primary path directly connects to my primary Sephiro, which is path 26, the eighth Sephiro, the eighth life path. I feel like that makes my ultra concentrated in a specific area. Yeah, absolutely agree with it. Agree with you. Okay, let's take a look at that. So if we look at her life path, 26, she's over here. And I don't know if you pulled your card for that. But Veronica, if you look at the card is over here. It's the devil. And no, that doesn't mean you're Satanistic or that the devil has anything to do with you. The devil is all about the world that we live in. It's all about the material physical world. It's about balancing your desires, your needs with the physical world that you're contained in and building. And I bet you're very, very good at it. Okay? The devil is literally this path, the 26th path. This is the strongest path that talks about our world. And I don't mean with all the strife and war, I'm not talking about that. But our world, our technological world, with all the science and all of the wonderful marketing and things that we have, and ideas and schooling and the systems of government and religion and the world, the way it has evolved. Our world is a 26th path world. And yeah, that world corresponds to the devil for many, many, many reasons. And I'm getting more technical than I wanted right now. But the devil is a card that corresponds to Saturn. Because it's a Capricorn card, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So it's all about being super responsible and being trapped by your responsibilities and eventually moving beyond them in order to grow to something else. So that 26 path is very interesting. Again, like with Shannon and Lisa and Mel, we have a conflict between the feminine side of the tree and the middle pillar. And this central Sephiro being basically a masculine Sephiro. There's all this stuff that I've created that I'm responsible to still take care of. And there's this, I want to be free to pursue my spiritual goals. I want to be free to evolve, and you know the rest of that story. Okay, so we definitely are seeing that that conflict in there. And the eighth Sephiroth, there it is. The eighth Sephiroth is at the root of your 26th path. So it ties right in. This is a very nice, tight, directed story. And I agree with you, will make you very, very focused, probably in everything that you do. Super organized. Okay. Do you have any comment you want to give back on that? I see in the chat you said that makes so much sense. Folks, this is a starting point, okay? It's important to have a place where you begin your journey. It's your starting point. So, Veronica, for you, it's Sephiroth 8. For Lisa and Mel, I would give it Sephiroth 10 because our journey moves up the tree, okay? You could bring the energy back down too if you're already up there, but I'd start it down at the 10th Sephiroth. And Shannon, your journey would start at Sephiroth 8 as well. Okay, so at this point, we should all be pretty much on the same page, I think. And would anybody like to come on and say, when you got done with this soul placement exercise, you want to be open enough to let us all know, what did this reveal to you about your current life path, current challenge, current pattern, and whether or not it matches your current life focus? Anybody want to share? Well, while you're thinking about sharing, Ginger is in the chat and she says, this week's tarot card looks similar to last week's tarot card. Which tarot cards did you pull, Ginger? Because if you were pulling the life path card both times we met, it would be the same because you're pulling the same card. But did you just randomly pull them? Okay. So last week you pulled the Emperor and this week you pulled Justice. That's interesting to me too. And yes, I get what you're talking about. The Emperor is the ultimate male force. Okay, it's the daddy energy. If we go back and we look at the diagram up here, okay, the Emperor would be all the way up here at the top of the tree. Okay, he's the ultimate dad, the male force of the zodiac of the universe. The Hierophant, or pardon me, Justice. Let's see, Justice would be over here on the, see where the Libra is? It would be over here, Lamed, the sixes to the fives, just transposing it back and forth. It's the Libra energy. So Justice is on a much lower level than that male energy, that prime male force is. But I could definitely see where the cards would look very similar. Why? Because they both have that very solid feeling of I'm the person in charge, I'm the one who judges, I'm the one who brings balance to all things, I'm the one who, they both have a very similar, almost a masculine energy to them. So I could see where that would feel very similar to you. And yeah, male, well, it's interesting. In the Rider Waite deck that I use, Justice is standing. So that all the justices are not sitting, but man's sitting in the chair. In the deck you're using, the man sitting in the chair. And that's brings something else up. If you're using the tarot cards or any other pictorial focus, you're going to see that they're not all the same. And so you really have to get to feel intuitive about your deck. So, Ginger, you're not working with my deck, you're working with your deck. So both of these probably have a lot of red coloring in them. Red is very forceful and dynamic. And both of them have the guy sitting in the chair. And that chair is very solid, 4 legs. It says, here I am, I'm solid, I'm not going anywhere. The number 4 is a number that we're going to discover when we do the neurology. It's a number of foundation. Okay, so all these things work real well on understanding where we are when we bring them back and look at them on the tree of life. That's why I chose to do the tree of life so early in this course, because we're going to be able to keep bringing things back to it. and reapplying and re-looking and understanding more and more about ourselves, both from the tool that we're using as well as from being able to apply it to the Kabbala, which gives us a bigger context. Very cool. Okay, I'm going to move on. Nobody came up to volunteer. One last time. Is there anybody who wants to see or mention what did you reveal to yourself about your life path that might have been a surprise to you? What did you reveal about perhaps your current challenges or patterns that maybe you didn't know before? And do you feel that your current life focus is right on track to your life path? Do you feel in sync with it? And I just want to share this with you. When I first started doing this work, no way was my current life in sync with my path. No way. And when you have that feeling of being out of sync, no matter what you're doing, no matter how much joy it's bringing you in that moment, it's never full. There's always this feeling of something being just out of your control, okay? And as many times as you try to make outer world changes, it doesn't work. It's like you're chasing the ball that somebody else is kicking down the field. You just can't catch it. When you start to make those internal subtle adjustments, it doesn't mean you have to make any life changes at all. All the changes happen in here. They happen relative to your perception, how you're appreciating something, how you're looking at something. A tiny little shift produces huge changes in how you feel about your life and the world around you. Okay, Mel, you said you'd like to share, so would you like to unmute, please, and tell us?
Sure. So I love this exercise and just it has so much to offer. I can't wait to dig into it later. But it does make sense. Like I do feel like I'm always struggling, right, to find a balance, and I am definitely I do kind of insert myself into things to bring balance. I feel like I am the peacemaker of my family in a way too, but in situations, and I kind of have to give that up, because we
Yeah.
try to be functional the older I get, and just have to let things be, and you know, allow people to be who they are, and kind of back out. So I, I don't know. That's just I love that.
That's great, Mel. Thank you for sharing. Let's just take a moment about that because so many people on this call have that same kind of imbalance going on. Okay, be coming out in their lives in different places. But let's just take a moment because what you're talking about is that you've been going to this one and trying to fix this problem, going to that one trying to fix that problem, and before long you're being drawn so much off your center because you're fixing the problems, and the problems are always off center. Okay, so you have on your own already woken up to the fact that I don't want that anymore. Okay, I want things in my life to be balanced and peaceful. And you're at the perfect point to take this course. Okay, you're at the point where you're saying, I need to generate that peace within myself. But what's happening now is that you're recognizing I need to generate it within myself. So you go to your meditation, you go and do your artwork, and you go and you play with the dog, you do those things that bring you back to center, and then your daughter or your husband or your son or your sister or your best friend calls, and they've got this crazy going on. And the first thing you know, your desire to help and heal has you off center again. Now, it's your desire to help and heal, but it's also something more. It's a lifelong pattern. And the pattern is to be the helper. The pattern is to fix the problem. And the pattern, if you were really to get deep down into it, goes back into when you were a little kid, and daddy had cold feet and you brought his shoes, you got a pat on the head. Okay. So the bottom line is that the outer world, that when we displace our self to the outer world, to the mirror instead of ourselves, okay? When we are the world, the world is controlling us, and we have to keep fetching the slippers. We have to keep being there to heal, and we have to keep being there to fix. And when we do try, we always get the pat on the back, which reinforces do it some more, but never feels like you're where you need to be. Now, does this mean that you have to stop helping? Does it mean that you have to stop healing? Does it mean that you have to stop doing those nice things for people? Because when I say that, Mel, that doesn't feel very good either, does it? See, the problem I think you've really uncovered is that you have, like so many of us have, you've let the world tell you who you are instead of discovering who you are yourself.
I think that's why I'm here, because I really have stuff. Like if people call me with their, I mean, I don't want to say they're crazy, but people can kind of call you with their crazy. I find myself, like they'll be okay, because I gotta have, I have to stay,
Mm-hmm.
in my peace, and not that I have to, but I want to, and and I need that, but I do. I love them, but I let that go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so here, and this is a hard thing because we're so trained and conditioned into getting our reinforcement from the outer world, i.e., we bring dad the slippers, we get the pat on the head. There's the, do reinforce, okay? And now, when we become more inner directed, there's no external pat on the head. As a matter of fact, there could be a tremendous amount of resistance from the world around us. Because as you become more centered within yourself, as you become happier within yourself, as you become less controllable by the outer world, you realize the locus of control is shifting. When your self becomes the dominant force as opposed to the outer world, the locus of control is shifted to your heart, the you that you are choosing to be. And the people in that outer world around you say, boy, she's changed. What's going on with her? And they start usually to act out. When you start to see the world going through chaos around you, your world, what that usually means is that you're doing well. You're really getting it. Okay. Uh, it didn't sound really mean. The thing is that we all have to go through that. Okay. Because and I'm not saying you go through it once and it's done. It'll come in waves, but the waves will get smaller and smaller over time because you see, you are changing, you are growing. Eventually, that outer world will match your inner world, but it takes a while to catch up to it. And initially, it can get pretty crazy out there because you're moving through the resistance to your internal change. Does that make sense to you?
It does. It's funny because that I was thinking like it used to be where it would almost things would throw me so off balance. It's like I would have fallen off a cliff and had to pull myself up. And then it got to the point where people would rebel and kind of do things intentionally to maybe pull me down, and that would throw me down a hill. And now it's almost like almost tripping over a rock, but not really. It's not. It doesn't even stop me. I might get a hesitation in my stride, but at this point, that's how I feel that I am doing. Just really focusing on this is their peace. That's it. This is mine to keep peaceful. I get to decide just like they do. And so I just have to, I really do feel that my home and my life are very peaceful. So I'm very grateful, but it has been, whew, but I turned 50 last year. So I feel like I'm grateful that it's wonderful though. So
Yeah, and it gets better and better because eventually Eventually, when that locus of control is totally internal, okay, then it's not that what'll happen is that the people who stay close to you are people who will match your resonance, and their world smooths out, and they benefit from the person that you are becoming will attract people like you. Like attracts like. And so the people who stay close to you either will be people who match you, they have the same energy, or the people who are in your sphere right now will gradually adopt the same changes that you have been making and find that same centered space within themselves. Okay? Not the same as you. They will be centered within themselves the way they're supposed to be centered. And that, again, from what I just heard from you, that's a big shift for you, is recognizing that they don't have to be like me. They just have to find the way that works best for them. Isn't that interesting? And that's what will happen when you end up with all the people around you who are in that space where their life focus matches their life path. Then we get a sense of conformity and peace and people moving together as a gestalt without the chaos that we see in so many different parts of our lives. So you become a match to your outer world at that point. Is that making sense to you?
Yes, it
Good.
does.
Mel, thanks so much for sharing that. Thank you. Because that all the stuff that we talk about, um, it it gives, first of all, it gives other people a chance to loosen up a little bit also and share and ask their questions. But it also gives them a different point of view to look at their own life situation. Okay, it takes a lot of courage to share, and I appreciate that you move through that resistance there. Okay, let me give you an example of how my I should share this with you. I am a life path of 7, and my path is 25, which is right up the center of the tree. So basically, I'm nice and balanced, but the life path number, the single digit number, is way off to the right side. Okay, it's on that masculine side of the tree. Well, um, as you look at it, okay, as you look at it, it would be on the masculine side. If I am the tree, it's on my left side. Okay, so but either way, it's directly underneath. We call them the God force, the male force of the universe. It's under that side of the tree. At any rate, when I feel most pulled off my path is when, and it does have to do with that Sephiro, it's when I expect everybody to be like me. And I generally get this real shock, huh? When I make assumptions about how somebody should be responding or relating or acting or. And those assumptions get me into trouble because I make assumptions that are not based on the reality of their behavior. Okay. So I'm having to go through my life learning that we're supposed to be a hodgepodge. We're supposed to all be different, and it's okay. I had some difficulty with that one. So each one of us has our little struggles along the way, and they come out in a myriad different ways as we grow through them and as we learn. So let's see if anybody else is in the chat with another comment here. Sometimes somebody else gets an idea. Nope. Okay, I'm going to move on then. Okay. Um, there are some Kabbalistic archetypes that are going to give you more insight. Okay. I'm going to give you here Hebrew God names and archangels for each Sephiro. And I want you to pay attention because I'm going to read them out. And I want you to journal this. Okay. As I read the name, what are you feeling? Are you seeing something? Are you having a response? Because these names are important. And which ones do you resonate the most? Never mind your life path here. That's here. Okay, that's important. But which one do you resonate with the most? Because at this point in your life, you might actually be on a different Sephiro. Okay? Okay. Kether, God name Ehiah, Archangel Metatron. Hokmah, God name Jah, Archangel Ratziel. Binah, God name Jehovah Elohim, Archangel Tzavkiel. Kesed, God name El, Archangel Tzadkiel. Gevorah, God name Elohim Gevor, Archangel Kamiel. Tifereth, God name Jehovah Aloha Vadath, Archangel Raphael. Netzach, God name Jehovah Sabaoth, Archangel Haniel. Had, God name Elohim Sabaoth, Archangel Michael. Yesod, God name Shaddai El Shai, Archangel Gabriel. Malkuth, God name Adonai Haaretz, Archangel Sandalphon. Okay, folks, as you were listening, which name jumped out at you in a good way? Which name did you not want to hear? Did you want to shut out? Or did you daydream over? And what is that telling you about yourself? Anybody want to share? Okay, I've got Shannon here. I think, Shannon, you're ready to do some sharing here. And Veronica. Let me see. Bella's in here again. Anybody want to just unmute their mic and comment? Out of these God names, never minding your life path, that's why I didn't read the numbers off. Which one of these God names, Sephiro, I read the Sephiro name, I read the God name, I read the Archangel name for each one. How'd they feel? What was your response to them?
Sandy, so when you read, this is Mel, when you read Jehovah wait a minute, Elohim, for some reason, I don't know, that sounded familiar. I don't know if it's because I've heard it before, but it's the third one.
Okay, that one, let me show you where it is. Okay, we're going to go back here. That one is all the way up at the top of the tree. Okay, this is this one. See, it's 3. Jehovah Elohim, Bina. This is Sephiro 3. So here we are up at the top of the tree. And you can go over here and read. We talked about this when Shannon had her life path up here. We were talking about the Gemini, remember? And one end of the path was this Sephiro. By the way, whatever your path is, it's important to look at the Sephiro on either end of the path, the one that anchors it on the, usually I think it was the bottom end, and one that anchors it on the top end, because those Sephiro will tell you a lot about that life path. So what you're attracted to here is this very feminine, universal goddess energy, the Great Mother. And I hope that was in a good way.
It absolutely was.
But it fits what you were just saying before, because when you were confiding a little bit of what you overturned with your, uh, your current challenges in your life path. Okay, um, that really fits because your issues are coming from really wanting to be that great Earth Mother to everyone. And part of learning about that mother energy is that it also has to restrict itself. It can't interfere. That's part of the lesson there. And here you are, you're attracted to that. So what I wanted to point out here, and Mel, you just did this beautifully, so thank you for coming in and sharing, is that when you're attracted to a particular Sephiro or a particular color that corresponds to a Sephiro, or a particular musical sound that corresponds to a Sephiro or a path, that is telling you something about yourself in this moment. So right now, at this time in your life, both your joy and your challenge is coming from this great mother energy. So if you were to meditate on that third Sephiro, if you were going to use it as a portal to travel through it, asking for the help of the Archangel Zapkiel, using Jehovah Elohim, almost like a password to get through your portal. Okay? In the name of Jehovah Elohim, I open the portal of Bina and am escorted by the Archangel Zapkiel to explore this Sephiro. And now you have a simple way of moving through the portal into the realm of Bina to get a better feel for what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep in your life regarding that Sephiro at this time. Okay? So there's another way of using the archetypes themselves as a portal for information and insight into you. Comments or questions, folks? This is also a good time for me to introduce another concept to you. Now, let me just see if I can't make this camera come up here. Yeah. Can you all see? Hopefully you can see it big enough to see. If not, maybe. Okay, let me just put this one. I'll change it back in a minute. Oh, I hope I don't ruin it. Sometimes I can make this work, and sometimes I can't. Okay. Nope, that didn't work. Nope, I can't do it. Sorry, folks. Sometimes I can make the camera, the one person who's talking, have the camera. Let me see if I can do it under mic. Nope, not letting me do it on this. This I must be thinking about the other format. This format's not letting me do it, or at least it's not letting me do it tonight. But if you can see the diagram that's hanging on the closet door over here, I have my cursor pointing to it. Can everybody see that? That is a tree of life. And people have asked me, they've said, Sandy, what is that? Is that a diagram? Or I'll tell you what I did, because this is a good exercise for you. Okay, I took a plain old sheet that I was throwing out, and I took a 4-inch diameter candle, and I traced a tree of life onto the sheet with all of its, let me put one up here so you can see it. I traced a tree of life with all of its circles and all of its paths, and I colored the paths, and I colored the Sephiro, the solid color, blue and white and black and so forth. using fabric paint. Okay, let it dry. And when I was done, I cut it out. So I cut out all these little holes and I cut the outside out. And what I ended up with was almost a piece of plastic because the fabric paint is very plastic. It was dimensional fabric paint. And what I ended up with is a Tree of Life altar cloth that I can pull off my closet door. And it will hold, each one of those sephira will hold this candle very nicely and protect the wood underneath if I'm on a table. But what I was trying to explain to you folks, and Mel in particular, if I'm wanting to explore Bina, Bina is this sephira up here where my cursor is. If I'm wanting to explore Bina, I take my plastic altar cloth that I created and I lay it on my desk. Now you could do this with a piece of paper too. It doesn't have to be something that fancy. I put my candle on the sephira that I'm going to use as a portal. I could also use a crystal. I could use a piece of jewelry that I put on it that I have a strong attachment to or a connection to. Doesn't have to be a candle, but I like a candle because I enjoy meditating with candles. I find them a good focal point. And I would use that candle as a means of entering the portal at the Sephiro Bina with the God name Jehovah Elohim. I would open the portal in the name of Jehovah Elohim, and I'd ask for Zat Kiel to protect and escort me through the portal. Any question on that, folks? There's a lot of information that I just gave you there. Important stuff for exploring this. Okay, let's move on. We're going to use the Tree of Life as a psycho-spiritual diagnostic tool. Doesn't that sound fun? Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom and go towards, so we're starting at 10. That's the very bottom over here, okay? And I'm going to start down here, and we're going to go up, looking at each sephiro on the way up the tree, following go up further. Following this path, we're going to spiral it up, okay? Following that path. And you're going to have your very own psycho-spiritual diagnostic tool that you can use to really get a handle on what's going on in your life right now, okay? So we're starting at the bottom. Malkuth is the bottommost sephiro. They call it the kingdom. When you are in Malkuth, when you pulled a card that's a 10, when your life path is a 10, when you figure out in numerology, which we will in the coming months, that you're on a 10-day or that you have a strong 10 energy going on. Right now you could do that. If all day long you're seeing 10s, you're having a 10-day. You're seeing 10s on license plates. You're seeing 10s, you get a pile of dog yummies in your hand and there are 10 of them. Okay, if 10 is your number today, okay, then Malkuth is talking to you. Okay, and when this is happening, you have questions of embodiment going on. You might be concerned about your physical safety, material safety, the safety of your stuff, your ability to stay grounding. So Malkuth has to do with things having to do with your health, things having to do with both the good stuff and the bad stuff in this physical realm around us. So when you're getting a lot of 10s, you're really looking at the physicality of things. And the big question you should be asking your soul, the inner self, am I connected to the earth and my body? Because it's an interesting thing that happens. When I do a meditation and I focus on Malkuth and I get really solid and in the moment and totally connected to the earth, to my body, to the here and the now, to the material world around me, guess what? All of a sudden I'm organized. I'm no longer fearful. That connection is so very, very important to being able to feel like you're not just in charge, but able to handle anything that comes along and do a good job with it. Okay? So that's very, very important. Now, if I get a lot of nines, or if my life path is about Yesod, or if I pulled a card that's a 9, 9 in Kabbala is foundation. That is the subconscious programming that we have, that we don't know we have. That's our emotional residue. It's very often our knee-jerk reactions emotionally to what's going on in the world around us. When we put ourselves on automatic and we stop thinking and we just respond, that's Yesod. Okay? So when you get a lot of 9s, ask yourself, what hidden beliefs or unresolved memories are coloring my reality? What's up? Hidden beliefs or unresolved memories. What am I looking at that I'm thinking is one thing when it's really a different thing? 8. When I'm dealing with Hod, that's the number 8, Shannon. Okay? Or Netzach, that's the number 7, that's me. Both of those which have to deal with the adrenal glands, okay? I'm dealing with mind versus intuitive heart imbalance. There's a conflict between my mind and my intuition. And the question you ask then, am I overthinking? Or worse, am I overriding my intuition or my emotions? Have I separated myself? 6, that's that center of the tree, which so many of us seem to have here. Tifereth, beauty. Here we're talking about soul alignment. The question is my current life path aligned with my core essence? And if you're having that feeling of out of sync and you're seeing a lot of 6s around you, well, guess what? You're being told it's time to center. It's time to focus on getting back in sync, getting your life path aligned with your core. 5 is Gevura, severity. And 4, Kesed, mercy. Those are both the throat center. Okay? They're this center, parathyroid and thyroid. And here you're talking about boundaries versus compassion. Gevura is the boundaries, Kesed's the compassion. Boundaries versus compassion. Mel, I bet you anything you've got a lot of energy going on between these two Sephiro as well. So when you look at your numbers, you probably got 5s in there and 4s in there as well. Boundaries versus compassion. And you should be asking yourself, where am I out of balance in giving or asserting? Do I need more of which? Do I need to be more specific? Do I need to learn how to use which one in which sort of circumstances? This is big. This is big. This can be huge for people. If your life path is a 5 or a 4, you definitely relate to this. Okay, 3 is Bina, understanding, and it couples with 2, Hokmah, which is wisdom. They both correlate to the third eye. We're dealing here with the masculine versus feminine energetic balance. And here your question is, which divine polarity needs healing or embodiment? Don't assume it's always the same one. You heard Shannon say in her life, sometimes it's male, sometimes it's female. She will go back and forth, which either one could be out of balance. The difficult part is recognizing which one is out. Where's my center? And finally, we have Kether, the crown. That gives us access to divine will. And the question to ask is, am I attuned to my higher self and the direction it's trying to lead me in? I'm paying attention. Am I attuned to the direction my higher self is asking me to move? Now, this is, again, a real important diagnostic tool for you to learn to use. I talked before, when we were on this slide, about learning to use each one of the Sephiro, and you could use the paths too, but the Sephiro, we have a wonderful opportunity to create portals that we can pass through using the God name as our key and the archangel as our protector and our guide, right? And now we can use this as a psycho-spiritual diagnostic tool, and we can know the questions to ask, and we know how to find what's out of balance. Are we seeing it in the world around us? Are we pulling cards that say this is the one to look at? Is it our life path? Do we have tons of fours in our name? Folks, are you with me? I'm giving you tools here. Are you going to be able to use them? Okay. By now it should be starting to come together. If you are working with AI, Veronica's saying yes, she's got it. Thank you. Melinda says yes, she loves it too. Good. Diane has just come in. Hopefully you're going to be able to pick this up. Okay. Now, if you're working with AI in addition to, here are those questions. Each one of these, basically, I think, Mel, it was you who asked me about working with AI. And guess what? If we combine things the exact way we talked about, okay, going through the portal, tell your AI, I'm going through a portal of Kether in the name of Ehaya with protection supplied by Metatron. I have an issue in my life where I am asking if I am actually attuned to the direction of my higher self and its direction. Here's the issue. Here's my response. Can you tell me what I need to do to become more attuned to my higher self? AI is going to get back and it's going to give you a plan. Don't you love it? Okay, just giving you a few suggestions here, but you're going to find it gives you tremendous insight into yourself and what you can do to get better balance. See, you're in charge, you're pointing the way, but the AI is going to give you tools that are going to make it easier to get there if you employ it in addition to what we're learning here. Okay, your journal. When you look back at your journal entries for your cards and you looked at your numbers and the archangel and God force energies that you're most attracted to, here's my question for you. Based on the psycho-spiritual diagnostic tool we just looked at, what's the most important position for you on the tree of life right now in this minute? And what are the two most powerful insights that you just learned about yourself just now in this last 10 minutes? Write them down in your journal. And is there anybody who'd like to share? If we go back to the journal, using the tree of life as a psychospiritual diagnostic tool, using your numbers, your cards, which one? And Veronica just jumped in. She said, I feel pulled to learn more about Metatron. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Okay, let's move on. I'm going to show you how to use sacred geometry, a tracing using the tree of life here. Veronica's in the chat. She says this is all fascinating to her. Thanks, Veronica. Good feedback. First, find the place that you're going to love this, folks. Find the place that you feel you're at right now on the tree of life. That could be your life path. It could be a card you just pulled this moment. It could be a certain set of numbers you've been seeing all day. Take a moment to find the place that you feel you're at now on the tree of life by the number. I have the numbers written in. I even wrote in the number of the Sephiros for you. 2, map your journey by laying out cards that correspond to the numbers of the Sephira or paths you'll follow to complete that journey. So let me give you an example. My life path is a 7, okay? So if my goal is to get to Kether, right? We could change the goal, by the way. I could make my goal just to get to Tifereth, center of the tree. But I'm going to make my goal Kether, top of the tree, highest consciousness, the Godhead, the God point from which everything springs, the well. Okay? So I'm going to map my journey. Now, I could map my journey by going straight up the pillar on the right as you're looking at it, and then crossing over to Kether on path 11. I could map my journey by taking path 24 over to Tifereth, and then going straight up from Tifereth to Kether. I could do a zigzag if I like, and just go all over the tree and explore on my way up, can't I? So I'm going to map my journey. I'm going to consider those different ways. Do I want the fast way? Do I want a colorful journey where it's a little more scenic and I see things? I'm going to think about the journey that I want. And once I've thought about the journey, I'm going to take my deck of cards. And for this, I'm going to need a full deck of cards, okay? I'm going to not be able to, I have to go beyond the major arcana because my waypoints are 1 through 10, which requires a regular deck of cards. So I'm going to want to have my full tarot deck. So I have major arcana and minor arcana. Okay, so I've mapped my journey and I'm going to take the cards. So if I would take the world, the 7th card, one of the 7s. I could take all 4 7s. Remember, there were 4 7s in the deck, so I could take all 4, or I could just pick one. Then I'm going to take my 7. I'm going to take the world. That's path 21. I'm going to take a 4. I'm going to take the 16th. That's the that's the tower. Yuck. Okay, and then I'm going to take 2. There's Hokmah. I'm going to take 11. There's the magician. And then I'm going to take 1. That's one of the aces. And I can either lay them out straight across, or I could, if I'm working with my plastic coated diagram that hangs on my wall back there, I can actually put a card right on top of each one of these so that it looks like a road map. Okay. Once I have those cards pulled, and if you don't have cards, folks, you can just look at the number and let your mind follow the number. I'm going to move to 3. Once I do that, I'm going to close my eyes. And then I'm going to mentally trace the path that I've chosen. And then I'm going to, number 4, open my eyes. I'm going to focus on each card in turn. If I'm working with the numbers, I'll focus on each number in turn. Works better if I'm looking at the pictures on the card, though. It's more fun. I'm going to allow each one of those pictures to flow into my subconscious mind. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm not going to try to discover the card or talk about the card or interpret the card. I'm just going to gaze at it. I'm going to absorb it. I'm going to let my eye wander around each one of the cards as it flows into my subconscious mind. And along the way, while I'm doing that, remember, I'm allowing, I'm going to write down, I'm going to journal, I'm going to write down whatever comes to me at that part of the journey. So on 7, I might be seeing trees. And so I'm just writing down, okay, I'm looking at this card that's a 7 of Pentacles, but I find myself just seeing trees. And that's what I'm drawn to in the card. So I'm going to write trees. Then I put the world card down and I'm relaxing, looking at the world card. And somehow I'm seeing the world in terms of cycles. I keep seeing all this movement of like a Ferris wheel going around and around. So I'm going to write that down. Then I'm going to get to Chesed, number 4. So I pick the 4 of, let's say the 4 of Cups. And again, I'm attracted to trees. This kid is sitting under a tree. I'm just attracted to that tree. Wow. And then I'm going to go to 16. I'm going to focus on 16 for a few minutes. And of course, the 16th path, I'm looking at, actually, it's the Emperor here. Emperor? No. No, it is the Tower. Okay. I'm sitting there looking at this. Why am I getting my 16 mixed up? It's not, is it? Devil is 15. Nope, I think this is, I know why I'm getting it wrong. The path number doesn't correspond to the path, but the 16 is the number 16 is the Tower. So I'm going to be sitting here looking at the Tower, and I'm going to be, instead of seeing this tower falling and all these nasty lightning bolts, I'm looking at the tower and I'm seeing somebody building this wonderful new, wing on a hospital or something. I'm seeing architecture being built. Isn't that neat? And then I come to number 2, and I'm going to journal all this stuff. Then I come to number 2, and I'm looking at the 2 of Cups, but I'm seeing the rope with a tug of war being pulled back and forth. So I write that down. And then I go to path 11. See what I'm doing here? And I write down my path 11, which is as I said, the magician. And as I'm looking at path 11, I'm seeing all kinds of beautiful things manifesting around him. It's like it's manifesting so fast he can't even keep track of what's happening. So I'm going to write down that there's all this, wonderful gold and nice, pretty creations happening. And then finally, I'm at Kether. I'm at the place where I want to be aligned to. I went through all these different images in my own heart. That's what the images were, to find myself becoming aligned on my particular journey with Kether. And as I go into Kether, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to pull an ace. I pull the Ace of Swords. I'm giving myself a choice of the ace. And what am I seeing? I'm seeing this book opening, and I'm feeling like this is the beginning of tonight's class. The book opening that was on our very first slide. I'm thinking, okay, I'm back on track. There's my book. Okay. So that's how I just did my journey, and I wanted to share that with you because that's how we use our sacred geometry. We can draw it. See, depending on how we draw it, the form itself, I chose to go the direct route. But supposing I had gone from here to here, and then back down to 9, and then across to 8, up to 5, across to 4, then up to 16 to 2, and then across to 1. I would have done this whole little jag in here, and it would have been an entirely different journey. It would have still led me back to the alignment I was looking for, but it would have taken me through other steps and other insights. So there's no wrong here. There's no wrong way to follow the paths. Okay? There are different options depending on how you feel that day. And the reason I like laying the cards out in the form of the Kabbala is that if I lay them out on the tree of life, or at least in that pattern, I'm going to see my journey, and the visual of it is like a line drawing. The visual of it also speaks to your subconscious mind. Okay? So the path I chose was a straight and direct path. If I had chosen this other path where it had me going backwards and forwards, and it definitely would have had a feeling of doing a whole lot of unraveling of things, and that would have been very discernible in the geometric pattern that I'd created by where I placed the cards. Okay, so folks, are you with me? Are you following it? Okay, everybody got a plan here? Because guess what you're going to do next? Okay, yeah, you got it. Okay, so here's your exercise. Okay, take out your piece of paper that looks like the tree of life. Identify your home Sephiro and put a candle on the home Sephiro. Trace the path upward, and as you're tracing it, do what I showed you to do with the cards. And this one you can do even without cards if you're just looking at it. But slowly, as you do this, imagine light flowing upwards, literally from Sephiro to Sephiro. You're tracing it with light. And you can use the colors associated with each Sephiro and each path. And this is optional, but I find it works very, very well. If you speak the divine names or the angelic names as you cross each Sephiro, it's going to open the portal. It's going to make that journey much more intense. It's a somatic, symbolic act of spiritual alignment. You're consciously moving yourself into alignment, making the tree a living structure within yourself. So, folks, what I would like you to do, you could do them one at a time or you could do them together. Okay? I would like you to take 5 minutes. I'm going to shut my mic off and my camera off so you don't have to see me. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this exercise. And then when we come back, I want you to be able to tell me from your journal how it made you feel. Okay, starting now. Okay, folks, time to wrap up the sacred geometry tracing exercise. I find this one to be one of the most fun ones that we do. So, would anybody like to share their experience here? Um, did you have any trouble tracing it? Some of you might have had trouble or taken a lot of time finding the cards. I know sometimes it takes me a while to work with cards, in which case, then I just select cards randomly. I should have said that because it doesn't have to be the exact card. Okay. You're welcome, Diane. Okay. I'm not getting, I think everybody is still writing. Is there anybody who wants to share just in general? How did it feel to do this? Did you feel like you were energetically moving yourself back onto track, or that you were seeing a pattern as you were putting the cards down? Um, how did it feel if you did the second part of it, when you did when you were tracing the light? And Diane, I think you missed part of this part of it, but I think it's all the way over here is where we had the God names. Okay. And so as we're going past each Sephiro, we can talk about the God name and the archangel and say those words. And what it does is it definitely uh, intensifies the experience of this. That's what this was talking about, this exercise two. So you can actually combine exercise one and two, or you can just do either one or the other, depending on how much time you have, um, how much you feel. See, I think they have very different insights. This one takes you deeper. The tracing that works with the cards, where you really focus on each card. This one, because it works with light energy and the colors and the divine names, if you add them in, this one actually feels like it's more transformative, but you can actually combine them and use them together. Anyone want to share their experience now or have a comment?
This is Mel. I'm trying to give other people a chance to share, but if nobody does, I'm happy to share.
Okay, I think everybody's happy to let you share. This is we do have a lot of people on here, but this is different. A lot of people who are here haven't done a process like this, and it's sometimes it's hard to let go and go as deep as you want to when you're in a group setting. And also, sometimes it's a lot of private things that come up that we just don't want to share, and that's okay. So, yes, we're listening. What would you like to tell us? You're, if I think you might have remuted yourself because I'm not hearing you.
Sorry about that. So I decided to go up the left side because 8, I kind of resonated more with the left side. So I went from 10 to 8, 5, 3, and 1. I don't know if that's what I think that's what I was supposed to do, right?
Uh-huh. Okay, so
Okay.
you went up the whole outside of the tree,
Uh-huh.
which happens to be the pillar of severity.
No
A
shock.
little, that you guys don't know the technical things about the tree of life. I really didn't intend to teach them to you. Those are easy to find. I have a class that runs that you'll be able to take and learn all about that technical stuff and do it intuitively and everything else. Um, so I wanted you to really learn how to get into the tree in this class. So no, you didn't know that was the pillar of severity, but it is, and it's going to be interesting to see what you came up with.
Okay. Good. So, and then I decided, so I was using a tarot deck, just a writer weight, just a traditional. And then I just felt drawn to use my angel cards because I love angels. And so I pulled, and it's funny because the cards that I pulled are for the 10 was you are ascending. Um, number 8 was inner child healing. It gets better. Uh, 5 was white light. Um, shock, or it's I think there's more on here, but 3 was clear and shield, and then one I pulled new beginning, which is Archangel
Oh,
Metatron.
that's perfect. Did you also pull cards for the Path 23, Path 18, and Path 12?
I did not.
Okay, it would be interesting to see what cards those would have been, because the way this works is that the Sephira would be considered like the stations. It's like where you change buses. But
Okay.
the paths are what you're encountering on the road.
Okay.
Okay.
So would I pull cards for the three, those four paths, the 21, 23, 18, and 12, or no? Yes.
It would be 31, 23, 18, and 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And one of the things you did on your own, and I really liked it. I'm a person who loves words, and so I have a lot of card decks around my house that are just self-help decks that'll just have one word on them. I just enjoy pulling one. And you apparently have an angel card deck that does something similar to that, gives you a little saying. Folks, that's something else that you can also use very, very nicely with this process. And for some of you, it's going to make things a lot easier. Not everyone here is yet, notice I said yet, used to that process of going in and just letting your subconscious mind lead you. A lot of people are saying, oh, how do I do that? How do I just put down what came to my mind? I'm not sure if I know how to let go and let something come to my mind. So for those of us who are struggling with that part of these classes, having a deck that actually has a little saying on it, that solves that problem. Okay. Or some of us aren't so good at recognizing, well, what is this picture on the card telling me? Or how does this number make me feel? See, I'm working to help you get more in touch with those feelings, but it takes time. It's easier for some of you than it is for others. So your idea is really going to be a good one. Mel, thank you for sharing that. That's going to be really helpful to a lot of people here.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And what did you, when you were done, what did you make of all that? When this was exercise 2 that you did, you stuck with 2. And what did you make of it? What was your conclusion?
I just continually seek like the validation that I'm on the right path, and that just the I feel like there are synchronicities here that are happening, and that I just continue to get that. Yes, this is it. This is the time. Just because it's just
Okay.
been a lot happening in the last couple of years, so I just feel like I just felt like you're right on, Mel. Like
Now,
it's
when you go back and you pull these other cards, which are actually going to be the path cards, so they'll be from the um, they'll be from the major arcana. And bear in mind that the major arcana only goes up to 21, right? So you're going to be able to pick 12, that's the hand, and you're going to be able to pick 18, okay? For 23, you can either randomly pick a card, or you can start out over again, right? The 21st card is the world, that's the end. And then you go back to the fool, that's 0, so that would be 22. And the next card would be the magician, 23. So you have two choices of how you could do that. You could just randomly pick a card, or you could loop them to get to that. And the same thing would be to path 31. You'd be adding on quite a few extra cards. You'd be adding on 10 cards to get to 31. So that would be like the Wheel of Fortune. Okay?
very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And when you go back and you do it, you don't need to do it now, but when you add the cards in, whether you do it randomly, because sometimes you get more out of it by just picking a random card, or whether you match it to the paths, um, add this in and make it a little more interesting. Exercise 2. As you go up it again, keep those original cards, but as you go up it again, add your new cards in and trace it, identifying the home Sephiroth, tracing the path, imagining that you're bringing light up in these colors, you're seeing the light. And as you cross each one of these, speak the divine name. So the divine name of God is going to be at each portal, and the archangel follows you through each path. Okay? And I think you're gonna have I don't see the purpose here isn't just to do the exercise. It's to do the exercise and write down your reaction, your insights, whatever you learn from it. But especially with this one, you're going to feel a difference in your energy. You're going to feel different. So write down how you feel in your journal and keep track of that. Okay, because you're onto something here. Okay, Veronica is in the chat. She says, "I'm interested in visualizing the tree of life as you describe in this exercise, but instead aligning along the chakras in my body as I meditate without the candle. I don't want to burn myself." Okay, and there's no reason. In fact, I think I said earlier, instead of using a candle, if you want to focus, pick out your favorite stone and use your stone. In fact, you can hold it in your hand, okay? Use your favorite stone as the focus. And each, with the chakras, Malkuth, watch my cursor, Malkuth becomes the base chakra. The sacral center is Yesod. Hod and Netzach together are the solar plexus. Tiferet is the heart. Gevora and Kesed, 4 and 5, together are the adrenals. So they're the throat center. Okay. The 2 and 3, Bina and Hokmah, together are third eye and pituitary. They're the third eye. The pineal, pardon me, and pituitary. And the top is Kether, which is the crown center. Okay, so there's a direct correlation. And Veronica, if you use what you're saying is you want to do it with your own body, absolutely. You can put yourself into the tree, and now for example, if we were working with Mills, she'd be taking the energy up from her root center, the perineum, at the base of her spine, and taking it up to Hod, which is the solar plexus, and then from there taking it up to Bina, Gevora, which is the adrenals, right in here, and then taking it up to the third eye at Bina, and then up to the crown. So this is what I was saying to Mel before, is that as she's tracing the colors and she's tracing the light, I would expect her to feel these changes in her body as well. And Veronica, that's exactly what you're saying here, and you're absolutely right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for drawing attention to that. That was great. Anybody else have any comments, or did you have any experience here doing this that you want to share? Okay, we're moving on. Okay, we're getting close to the end, folks. Take a moment in your journal, and I'm big on doing this, folks. Record all of your impressions. Notice this little guy is walking the tree of life here. Now, here are some additional ways that you can attune to the tree of life. You can use color meditation. So while you're going through, you can actually meditate on each of the colors, because those colors are real. Each sephiro, each path has a sacred sound. You can focus on the sound. You can use the invocation that we learned at the beginning. As you move through each sephiro, or if you start, you can use that invocation. There's something about our psyche that really responds very well to ceremony and to things like invocations. It's important to include them because it tells your subconscious, pay attention, this is important. This is important to us, to me, and to you. It's important. Choose a card that you can meditate on. Choose one sephiro or path to meditate on. You don't always have to do the whole journey. You can just do one single sephiro or path. Okay? You could start at the bottom of the tree and go through every path all the way up to the top, which is what we do in our Kabbala path working class. Okay? But you could choose that and you could do your own meditation on it. You move through your own portal. Okay, in here, just for your information, this would be Kether, sphere 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10 down here on the bottom. Okay, it gives you the key or note, the instrument, this is for the Sephiro, and the natural sound. Now, this is important, okay? Supposing you go through a day where somehow you're hearing people's walking all day long. I've had days like that. All day long, I'm hearing people walking, and it's bothering me. Guess what? My Malkuth, my material rooted Sephiro is out of alignment. Okay? Maybe I'm having an issue where we've been having this one in Florida for the last couple of days. There's lots and lots of thunder going on. Well, that has to do with Givora. What's going on in my life? What's going on in the world? Let's go through that portal and take a look and see, how is this making me feel? How do I make it come back into alignment? So you can use this in reverse. What sounds am I hearing that I'm particularly paying attention to? Because that's my subconscious saying, look at this. What's your favorite note? What's your favorite instrument? Do you have an instrument you actually hate, can't stand? Maybe that's a Sephiro that's out of alignment. Maybe it's a path that's out of alignment. Now, when we get to the other side of this, here are your paths. If you wanted to focus on a color, you wanted to emphasize, over here, maybe on the other side, I had all those footfalls. I know I'm having trouble with Malkuth. Well, that starts with path 32. It's the bottommost path. Maybe I want to wear a whole lot of indigo that day. Maybe I want to carry an onyx in my pocket. Maybe I want to meditate on the world card, get myself back into alignment. So I can use these two tables to help myself, okay, to help myself to get back into alignment. And here's a blessing that I wanted to share with you. This is our last slide, and then I can feel you waning, okay? But I'd like you to just say it with me, okay? It's a blessing of integration and becoming. May the light of the tree awaken in me the remembrance of my divine design. May Malkuth ground my presence, and Kether crown my becoming. May every step between be a joyful unveiling. May I walk the path not only to ascend, but to return, illumined and whole. May the angels of the tree bear witness to my alignment, and may my life itself become a temple of the light I now reclaim. I like to finish any of the work that I do. This is very internal work. Set yourself up a separate journal for it. When you do any of these exercises, when you work with the tree in this way, make sure you protect. Make sure you do your opening affirmations and share your own prayer or my blessing of integration and becoming when you're done and you close your journal. Now, before I let you go, and we are done, but I wanted to ask if anyone has any remaining questions on anything that we covered tonight, or on how you might use a certain thing, or any additions you want to make. Anyone? Okay. Go ahead and work on this. And okay, Melinda is asking for her and Lisa, would she use the 10 or the 1? Are you bringing the energy back down into creation? Or are you moving it up to spiritualize your life and your world. Okay, so it would really depend what your focus is. Um, if you're feeling out of alignment spiritually, I would start at the 1. If your life is the thing that's out of alignment, I would start at the 10. Okay, or if you've got health issues. Okay. Veronica says, thanks for all this information. Now, all you have to do, I don't want to overburden you with information. I want you to go out and play with it. Okay. I want you to work with it. I want you to learn to use the Kabbala as a living system to explore it yourself. That's what this has really all been about. Okay. We have our Facebook group, and Lisa and I both are looking at it on a daily basis. If I have a vacation coming up, I may not get back to you immediately, but I will definitely get back and return your questions as quickly as I can. Lisa might beat me to it. Um, the thing is that we're here. We're not leaving you hanging out to dry. And don't forget, you're still going on and still working with all those things you learned in our Discover Yourself Through Tarot. Now you can add to it and even combine a lot of these exercises, discovering yourself through Kabbalah. And each time we meet, we're going to be adding on more tools that you can bring into the whole. So thank you so very much. You are great. And I can't wait to see what some of the experiences that you create turn out to be. Thank you. Good night.